Daf Yomi Tractate Menachot, page 49b, top of the page. Earlier in last daf, there was the area of sirens. You probably heard in the background the missiles. It's the Iran war thing. Israel. So it's kind of exciting to say, euphemistically, but anyway, so that's why I went to the different area. Anyway, we are on 49b, top of the page, with the words Ella Pshita de Lesley B'Idamama Todim Lekudash Tadir Odif. Rather, it is obvious that the Mishnah is referring to a case where he does not have a sufficient number of animals for both offerings, and if it is referring to the offerings of that day, why does the Mishnah say that failure to sacrifice one does not prevent sacrifice of the other? Since the daily offering is more frequent and it is sanctified, and the additional offerings are sanctified but are less frequent than the daily offering, the frequent offering are given preference. The frequent offerings are given preference. Consequently, failure to sacrifice the daily offering should prevent the sacrifice of additional offerings. Rather, is it not referring to a case where the temple treasury does not have enough animals for both the additional offerings of today and the daily offering of tomorrow? And yet the Mishnah teaches that failure to sacrifice one does not prevent one from sacrificing the other. Evidently, they're equal, and he may sacrifice whichever offering he chooses. This would resolve Rabbi Chia bar Avin's dilemma. Amar le'abai lo'olam dislu l'kadim n'go kashiloch shelo yeh davar koidem mitzvah v'almahu. Abai said to Rav Chizda that is not a valid resolution of the dilemma, as one can claim that actually the Mishnah is referring to a case where they have enough animals for all the offerings, and the Mishnah is referring to the issue of sacrificing one before the other. And with regard to that which poses a difficulty for you, based upon the Braita that states that no sacrifice should precede the sacrifice of a daily offering of the morning, that Braita is merely stating the mitzvah ab initio. That means the way it should be done, like ideally. Tashema in poiskin mishisha teloim umevukarin milishkas ateloim kedei l'shavos v'shnei yomim toivim shloshashone. The Gemara suggests coming here a resolution to Rav Chia bar Avin's dilemma based on a Mishnah Arachin 13a. One maintains no fewer than 6 lambs that have been inspected and found to be unblemished in the chamber of lambs, sufficient for Shabbat and for the 2 festival days of Rosh Hashanah, that in some years occur adjacent to it. Hechidami, Elim is laid to meet in Musafin Tuvahavu. The Gemara clarifies what are the circumstances of this case if we say that it is referring to a case where the temple treasury has enough animals for all of the offerings that should be brought. 6 lambs are not enough, as there are many lambs sacrificed for daily offerings and additional offerings on those 3 days. In total, 22 lambs are required. 2 each day for the daily offerings, 2 for the additional offering of Shabbat, 7 for the additional offering of Rosh Hashanah, and 7 for the additional offering of the new moon. Rather, is it not that Mishnah is referring to a case where the temple treasury does not have enough animals for all of the offerings, and it is teaching that the animals that he does not have are utilized for the daily offerings of all 3 days, rather than for the additional offering of Shabbat on the first of the 3 days. Consequently, one may conclude from it that the daily offerings of tomorrow are given preference over the additional offerings of today. Lo ilam dislei ka Omar in pois kamishisha toloi memkoin belishkas atzloim al bo yomim koidim shchita umani ben bagbaki. The Gemara replies, no, this is not a valid proof, as one can claim that actually the Mishnah is referring to a case where the temple treasury has enough animals for all the offerings of the 3 days, and this is what the Mishnah is saying when it mentions 6 lambs. One maintains for use as daily offerings no fewer than 6 lambs that have been inspected and found to be unblemished in the chamber of the lambs 4 days prior to their slaughter. Lambs, sacrifices, other offerings do not have to be inspected 4 days prior to being slaughtered, and in accordance with whose opinion is the Mishnah, is in accordance with the opinion of Ben Bagbag. The Tanya, we don't have rights of Ben Bagbag Oimel. B'nayin the Tomish Tom Biko Alba Yomim Koidim Shchita Talmud Lo Imal Tishmula Kavli B'Moado V'Laha Nomer Haya Lachem Shmiras Adava Oso Yod. As it's taught in Braita, that Ben Bagbag says, from where is it derived that daily offering requires inspection 4 days prior to its slaughter. The verse states, with regard to daily offering, you shall observe to sacrifice to me in its 2 season numbers 28:2. And elsewhere, with regard to the Paschal offering, the verse states, on the 10th day of this month, they shall take for them every man a lamb, and you shall keep it, Mishmeret, until the 14th day of this month. In Exodus 12:3-6. Consequently, it is derived by means of a verbal analogy that just as in the verse there, the Paschal offering requires inspection 4 days prior to its slaughter, from the 10th of the month to the 14th. So too here, the daily offering requires inspection 4 days prior to its slaughter. This is not a requirement that pertains to all offerings. It is stated specifically with regard to the Paschal offering and extended by means of a verbal analogy to the daily offering. The Gemara cites a discussion pertaining to the Mishnah cited earlier. With regard to the 6 inspected lambs that must always be kept in the chamber of lambs, there ought to be 7, as there is a need for another lamb for the daily offering of the morning of the 3rd day of the week, since it cannot be inspected on Shabbat or the subsequent festival days of Rosh Hashanah, and therefore it should be inspected and kept beforehand. Rav Ashi responded to Ravina, according to your reasoning, the correct number is not 7, but rather it is 8, as there is also the daily offering of the afternoon of Shabbat, Eve, that should also be counted. Ravina answered, this is not difficult because the Mishnah is saying that after you sacrifice the daily offering of the afternoon, there must be 6 inspected lambs.